Morbid facts. What animals are scared of? Even the fiercest predators have fears. Elephants, despite their size, are terrified of bees and will stampede to avoid them. Sharks are known to be scared of dolphins due to their aggressive group behavior and agility. Surprisingly, domestic cats have a strange fear of cucumbers, mistaking them for snakes. And did you know that horses have an innate fear of pigs? The smell and unfamiliarity can make them panic. Even the mighty lion is afraid of the porcupine's sharp quills, knowing one wrong move could be deadly. In 1904, 21-year-old Ota Benga was abducted from a tribe in the Congo and transported to the Bronx Zoo, where he was put on display alongside monkeys. He was placed in a small cage with an orangutan as an apparent depiction of evolution. Ota was given a functional bow and arrow to enhance his primitive image and to protect himself from the ape if necessary. Since visitors were far more interested in Ota than the actual animals at the zoo, the exhibit was extremely popular and began shattering attendance records. The zoo started seeing an average attendance of over 200,000 people per month, most of whom headed straight to the primate house to catch a glimpse of Ota Benga. But by 1906, Ota was finally released from his torment thanks to mass public outcry from the black community. 5 mind-blowing scary facts you won't believe are true. Part 2. Squeezing someone's testicles very tightly can have roughly the same effect as using an EpiPen, but I wouldn't suggest doing this because it could also kill them. Your body is the weakest from 3 to 4 a.m., making this the time when most people die in their sleep. Jeffrey Dahmer refused to eat people with tattoos because he said the ink made the flesh taste weird. Maybe you stay safe by getting inked. Japanese Unit 731 conducted heinous experiments on humans during World War II. The Bunny Man is an urban legend of a man in a rabbit costume terrorizing people. In 1979, 16-year-old Brenda Ann Spencer killed 2 people and injured 9 others with a rifle at a San Diego elementary school. When asked why she did it, her response was, "I just don't like Mondays." French journalist Victor Noir is more famous for his grave than his work. In 1870, he was shot dead by Napoleon's nephew and had a grave erected of him lying down as if he was just killed. Because of an obvious bulge in its pants, the grave has become a popular fertility symbol among women. Legend tells that those who kiss the statue on the lips, place a flower in his hat, and rub the genital area will experience enhanced fertility. As a result, the lips and bulge are noticeably shiny from the thousands of people who have followed the legend over the years. In 1973, a Hindu man named Amar Bharati raised his hand as a religious gesture and hasn't put it down ever since. He spent 2 years of his life in severe pain by doing this, but eventually lost all sensation in his arm until it just stayed up. In 2007, Navy SEAL Mike Day was shot 27 times by 4 members of Al-Qaeda before being knocked out by a grenade. Not only did he survive, but Mike even ended up offing all 4 of the militants and walked away on his own after regaining consciousness. Jeremiah Clarke was a British composer who couldn't decide whether to take his own life by drowning or clanging himself, so he flipped a coin. The coin landed on its edge in the mud, so he went home and pot himself instead. Dutchman Dirk Willems was a religious prisoner who escaped his execution in 1569. When the guard chasing him fell through the ice in a nearby river, Willems turned around to save him. He was then recaptured and burned at the stake. In 2007, Carmen Tarleton was brutally attacked by her ex-husband, Herbert Rogers, who suspected her of infidelity. Rogers assaulted her with a bat and poured lye on her face. Tarleton was airlifted to hospital, where she was placed in a medically induced coma and underwent 38 surgeries over 3 months. This was followed by 17 additional surgeries over 5 years to restore her sight and manage her severe injuries. Despite these efforts, she was left disfigured and legally blind. In December 2011, Tarleton was approved for a face transplant. In February 2013, she received a full face transplant from Cheryl Donnelly Ryder, who had died from a stroke. However, by October 2019, Tarleton's first transplant suffered chronic rejection, leading to scarring and pain. In July 2020, she underwent a second face transplant using tissue from donor Casey Labrie. On August 19, 2024, 24-year-old Crystal Keyser was sentenced to 11 years in prison for offing her alleged S-tacticer, Randall Volar, in 2018. Volar was under investigation for SCAing of minors and CP at the time of his death. Keyser, an alleged victim of Volar, who was 17 when she offed him, argued she acted in self-defense. Originally charged with first-degree murder and facing life imprisonment, Keyser pleaded guilty to reckless homicide in May 2024. On August 26, 2024, 16-year-old Jamari Reed was tragically decapitated by a shark while spearfishing near Montego Bay, Jamaica. He disappeared while spearfishing alone just north of the island. The following day, fishermen discovered his body with injuries consistent with a shark attack. Local reports indicate he had been decapitated and one of his arms was bitten off. In August 2024, 44-year-old John Matthew Chapman was sentenced to life in prison after driving his girlfriend across the country and luring her into the Nevada desert for a bondage photo shoot. He bound her to a signpost with zip ties, taped her mouth and nose shut, and then watched as she passed away. In 1985, a great white shark swam to the shore in Australia and bit Shirley Ann Durden in half, tearing both legs from body, as her 4 children and husband watched on. Then, moments later, the shark returned to her floating torso and ate that too. Her body was never recovered. Police arrested Kimberly Ann Hawkins after she stole the mobility scooter of 63-year-old Neil Shadwick, a Parkinson's sufferer, and left him to die in sub-zero temperatures in Gloucestershire, England. She was jailed for 6 years for manslaughter and 6 months to run consecutively for other offenses. This picture shows Adolf Hitler with his dog Blondie. Hitler was reportedly very attached to his dog Blondie, keeping her close and even allowing her to sleep in his bed while in the bunker. Blondie also served in Nazi propaganda, portraying Hitler as an animal lover. Dogs like Blondie, regarded as Germanische Hunde for their wolf-like traits, became popular during the Nazi era. On April 29, 1945, a day before his death, Hitler doubted the effectiveness of the cyanide capsules provided by Heinrich Himmler's SS. To test their potency, he ordered Dr. Werner Haase to use one on Blondie, who died as a result. On May 23, 2017, 8-month-old Reese Annette Bowman was tragically smothered to death by daycare worker Leah Walden, who expressed frustration by saying, "I'm sick of this little bee." After returning from lunch at Rocketeers Learning Center, Walden grew angry when Reese wouldn't nap. She vented her anger to a co-worker, saying, "I'm sick of this little bee. I hate this little bee. She makes me want to punch her in the face." She then slapped Reese, pinning her down and covering her face with blankets, ultimately suffocating her. Walden pleaded guilty to first-degree murder on November 27, 2018, and was sentenced to 70 years in prison. Dramatic footage captures the moment police rescue a hostage held at knife point by sneaking up on the attacker and shooting him with a rubber bullet at close range. The Brazilian man, reportedly suffering a schizophrenic episode, had a knife to the woman's throat and repeatedly refused to engage with negotiators during a tense 2-hour standoff. The man was injured by the rubber bullet, but the hostage was unharmed.